according to me, there is two aspects to anything that we do, right?
Okay.
One is you loving the craft,
Right.
and then you getting paid for it,
Right.
and then figuring out what you're really good at and what you enjoy doing.
Right.
See, for people who want to learn, or if you want to get into a new industry, or they want to improve their craft, masterminds is one. And the last one that I feel that's free and available is YouTube. Like, you can really having mentors, I feel, is the key to the entire business.
So what is the way that you filter out and say, yeah, I'm looking for a mentor? How do you find one that's actually qualified? Well, and then when you're finding mentors, did you often have to ask like more than once? Was it just like one time you did, or did you like follow up?
There is so many free resources. The reality is humans want to help other humans.
They do.
Right? Everybody wants to help somebody else.
Yeah, because you know, the truth is nobody becomes successful on their own. Every one of us, everybody has become successful because they learned something from somebody else.
So let's talk about the new seminar that you are doing for real estate.
Oh,
agents. It's not a seminar.
No, it's a workshop. Yeah. So
that's great. So talking about the real estate photography, a lot of real estate agents, they want to learn it also.
what's up, Kiran? How's it going,
That's
brother?
Great. It's going really well.
Dude, I'm glad to hear that. Well, one of the things that you and I are really passionate about is education, mentoring, workshops, and not only like providing them, but receiving, like being a part of them and joining other people's knowledge centers, right? And plugging in. That's been a key to our success in our different industries all along the way. And so that maybe today we can kind of share some of our top 3 things that each of us individually got a ton of value and continue to get a ton of value out when you're in this market and you're trying to grow your business and you want to take it to the next level and you're wondering, where do I go to find relevant and accurate information to help me as a business owner?
Before I actually got into real estate, the number one thing that I went to diligently is all these conferences.
Okay.
I went to many conferences. That's when I ran into great people that I networked with and that I ended up doing a lot of business with, people that I learned a lot from. So conferences is my number one source of learning.
Where did you find these? So these conferences, are they put on by industry leaders, other companies? Like who puts these on, and then where do you find them?
See, a lot of these conferences, especially the ones that you pay a lot of money, in the sense that when I say a lot of money, more than $1,000, right?
Okay, right.
So once you pay more than $1,000, typically these are arranged by professional event planners, and then they put together and they invite bunch of speakers, and all these speakers are paid speakers.
Right.
So by default, you'll automatically get a lot of value. And as part of it, especially when you're trying to network with people who are willing to invest $1,000 into a conference, the chances that you're going to meet high quality people is very, very much there.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I've traveled all over the country. I spent, I would say, more than $50,000. This is almost 10 years, 15 years ago.
Right.
I used to diligently go. That's where I saw Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, and Brian Tracy, all these guys.
Right.
And through that networking, you'll also end up writing books with some of them. And Brian Tracy's book is how I wrote because I went to one of his conferences.
Dude, that's so cool, man. I love that. Well, let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about the difference between some of the paid and the free. You and I have both been to like free things and paid things. And I have noticed there is a difference between them. One of the things that I'll notice is that free is great. You're starting in and maybe you don't know what it is you really want to do and you're just trying to get a little bit of information because there's no cost to you. You can go in there and, okay, that was kind of valuable. But usually what I find at the end of something that's free is I'm usually being upsold or sold to do something else, right?
Right.
And whenever I've been asked to pay money to do something and the higher the dollar amount, it's so weird, but the education for the most part, I can't think of a single time when I went to a conference where I spent a lot of money and I thought, I wish I didn't spend that much money, because it was always rock star content, like value bombs consistently. And I'd like to get your opinion on why do you think that is? Why do you think the free stuff out there, as valuable as that can be, struggles to provide the content that a more expensive conference can give you.
Because when you think about it, no lunch is for free, they say, right?
Right? No free lunches.
No free lunches. When you go to these free conferences, their main agenda is either to gather your data and upsell you on something,
Right.
or they'll have subpar speakers. And your time is valuable also.
Right.
When you're taking time out of your business and going somewhere, I absolutely want to have value. And that's why the free event sometimes I'm not very confident, because maybe they are new to the industry, maybe they are trying to make a mark, maybe they are trying to practice it, and I don't want to be the guinea pig being practiced on. So that is my main
That's true,
intent.
right? Yeah.
In fact, more than the conferences, I like the masterminds that you mentioned
Oh
before we
man,
started.
masterminds for me, when I think of like one of the key pivotal moments in my life that helped me understand how much value I could really get in being around like-minded people, it was a mastermind that I participated in. It was when I was with KW. I was the CEO of the office in Ocotillo, and you get invited to these masterminds. But here was the brilliant part of it: is you were put into a group with your peers financially, right? So, our office, we're doing about $250 million in real estate. So I was in a room with other team leaders from across the world who were doing about $250 million in production. And then they had others that were doing different productions. So there's another room for, maybe they're doing $500 million plus. And then you've got others who are doing maybe 100 million, 50 million, right? And we're sitting in that room. A couple key things really popped out to me. Number one, it felt so good to be in a room of people who understood what your challenges were at the level that you're at, because you're in a room of peers. That in itself was worth the price of admission. It was awesome. And then number two, the quality of answers and even more, I would say, the quality of the questions being asked. Some of the questions were things I had never considered before. I was like, I should be asking that question. Really glad somebody else did that. Was so valuable to me. And the time that I spent that day in that mastermind, even though it was years ago, still lives in my head. And those lessons that I learned still apply to me today. And I still take them and move them forward in my business. And I cherish that, man. It was as weird as it sounds, it really was transformative in the sense that for the first time I saw how powerful a group of people who are peers, who are have momentum in their businesses, the energy that can give you and keep giving you years after that event has happened. And in the creative field that I'm in now, that's probably the biggest thing that I struggle with, is there's no equivalent to that, because there's no way to get peers creatively into a room who are in a similar space with production, things like that, because real estate is very different. It's open books, you can see who's doing what. And so a lot of times when you get together with creatives, the range is so huge. You have some people who are here and some people are here and people in the middle, and you don't walk away with as much value because you're not addressing like a core group of challenges or problems that everybody in there is dealing with. And that was really valuable for me.
I've been to many, many masterminds. In order of priority, I'll say the first one that I get a lot of value is conferences, not because of the value of the delivery of the content, but the people, the diverse group of people that I run into, right?
Right.
Then with masterminds, real estate is very unique. Everybody knows the production numbers, and then you're able to be easily matched up, and you get so much of value because the other person is also at the same level of business and production as you. So
Right.
it's much easier. I was part of many, many masterminds in real estate, and all of them I got value. The ones that I did not get value are the masterminds wherein people are at different skill sets. Like some people are just starting out, while
Right.
some people have advanced, and those are bad.
Well, here's the reason why, because like maybe this experience you've had it, but if you're at this level and you go to a conference like that where there's a huge range and you feel, okay, the whole conference got hijacked by like questions people are asking who are beginners.
Right.
And I already know that stuff. So I didn't get anything out of that. But the opposite's true, right? If the conference gets hijacked by people who are already established and doing and rocking and rolling, then if you are the beginner, which we all were at one point, then you're like, well, I didn't get any answers on how to actually start the stuff that you guys are doing up here.
And it feels very overwhelmed. I was recently part of a conference wherein the people who attended, their net worth was at least 50 million.
Okay, 50 million.
50 million. And then the kind of questions that people were asking was really something that I felt that I was already doing, but then my net worth is not as much.
Okay.
So I was feeling like there is some disconnect. Okay, I'm doing all this stuff, but there is so much to learn and get inspiration from them.
Right.
Even though I didn't pick up a lot of knowledge, it was kind of disheartening seeing that, oh my God, these are the people that we can easily get to if we are able to implement what they are doing, and half of which we are already implementing in our businesses.
Right.
So having the masterminds, another way to do it is, Shane, in your world, if there is a mastermind that's non-existent, it might be time that you create it, because you're creating a forum already of people who want to get into real estate business. You're already inviting the creatives, you're doing workshops around it and all that, right? So maybe you can take it to the next level and then create some of these masterminds over Zoom. I've been attending some masterminds over Zoom and it has been pretty good actually.
I'll have to try that, man. I've had a lot of pushback. I've actually put little seeds out there in the creative market, creative field, and it seems like every time I talk about like numbers and about business, there's a big, like, everybody kind of takes a step back. It's like a drop of oil in some water, right? And it's very interesting. And because at creatives, there's so much of the heart and your passion, right? And like I said, we have a range. There's nobody in real estate who's doing it for the love of it, for creative expression. And the reason I know that is because there's nobody who's selling real estate for free, zero commissions on the weekend, right? There's a business element to it. With photography, you've got the range. You've got people who are doing it for free for creative expression. They can make $0 their entire life, still be creating great content, great photography, call themselves a photographer, and you have the range all the way to this person who's like, look, I don't care about creative expression. I care about business and building revenue for myself. And then you got people like me who are kind of in the middle. Like, I find a balance between the two, right? I love the creative stuff, but I also want to build a positive revenue business.
See, according to me, there is two aspects to anything that we do, right?
Okay.
One is you loving the craft,
right,
and then you getting paid for it,
right,
and then figuring out what you're really good at and what you enjoy doing.
right, right.
And then it should be the meeting point of all these four pie charts, right? What you're good at, what you could get paid for, what the world really needs, and if you're really skilled at it.
Right.
And then you have to kind of put people together where you want. I mean, even people who are doing it for free, they would love to be excellent at their craft, right?
Right.
And these masterminds can help you pull them up.
That's true. And you kind of have to split the two, because then you can say, okay, well, there's masterminds that are geared towards the craft of photography. And then you've got some that are created towards the business side of being creative, right? And those are not synonymous. They're very different for people. And what I've struggled to find, to be honest with you, man, and I wish it wasn't so difficult, is a group of photographers who want to talk about the business. It's easy actually to do creatives who are outside of photography. It's very simple for me to connect with them and have those kind of conversations. But within my own industry, and maybe it's just my approach or how I've been taking it, but it's been a struggle.
See, the masterminds work really well when the agenda is super clear for all the participants.
Right.
So your agenda, if it says, okay, this is for business development for artists or real estate agents or mortgage brokers, and then if the focus is business development, then you can easily eliminate people who are just doing it for free.
Well, let me clarify even more. So I don't think there's a struggle in having photographers talk about business. Where you get into the struggle is the thing that you and I talked about that was so important to our masterminds, is where you group them according to the revenue. That's where the pushback comes. Yeah. It's actually pretty simple to go into photography and want to have business conversations. where it gets messy is when you say, okay, I want to talk to photographers who are only making $100,000 plus a year. And then I had a ton of pushback. People like, what? I'm not making 100,000. I'm not a real photographer. I'm like, that's not what I meant. That's,
Right.
that's
Yes.
not the conversation. It's totally different, right? Or you use any number. It doesn't have to be 100,000. And so the issue was the thing about the masterminds that I experienced in real estate that were so powerful is when you can get into that peer group. Hey, we're all going through similar situations. We have similar struggles. We've gone up and solved the basics, right? And we're at this level now. And in photography, it's been a challenge to find a group to do that. And I would love to, if you're listening to this and you're interested in that, you don't mind talking about numbers and actual production, leave a comment, because that would be amazing. Even if it's a small group, to be able to do that with.
See, for people who want to learn, or if you want to get into a new industry, or they want to improve their craft, masterminds is one. And the last one that I feel that's free and available is YouTube. Like, you can really be part of YouTube community. Like, there are communities inside YouTube that I discovered recently, wherein I'm able to see like-minded channels, and then you can pretty much keep watching those and you learn so much from it. But my problem with YouTube is you have to consume so much of content, and then you have to distill it to small nuggets of information, and it takes a lot of time for YouTube.
Yeah, well, I mean, YouTube has been incredible. I mean, everybody, that's the great thing about YouTube is it disseminates information, and some of it's really, really valuable. Some of it you're like, wow, man, that was really good. But then the challenge is you don't have that opportunity to sit there and ask specific questions of the creator and get real-time feedback on things, right? Which is kind of where the masterminds would come into play, or even like a one-on-one mentorship with somebody that you really value. That's been important to me too, is having somebody you can go to and say, I've got this specific question for this specific scenario in my business, and getting an answer that same day is huge. It's something you can't get on YouTube, but YouTube is, I mean, YouTube University, man. It's the best thing ever. I love it.
Having mentors, I feel, is the key to the entire businesses.
Okay.
Because nobody is going to teach you all aspects of the business. If you are a franchise owner, then it's different. At least you get the business knowledge, but there are a lot of other items that you might be totally missing if you don't have a mentor.
So
I've had terrific mentors.
Do your mentors, I split them up. Like, for example, if I need a mentor in SEO, I'll find somebody who's really good at that. If I need a mentor in marketing, I'll find someone who's really good at that. If I need a mentor in lead generation, I'll find somebody in that. Do you do that?
100%.
Or do you,
No, 100%. We need to have mentor for the exact specific thing that we are trying to improve.
So why do you do that? I know why I do that. Why do you think that's important to do it that way?
Because no single person will have the same story or the experiences, right? Our situation is unique. Everybody's situation is very unique. And if I want to improve a craft on one particular thing, I'm going to a business development manager. If I'm trying to develop my business, then lead generation is different.
Right.
Then customer service and process improvements is different.
So basically, if someone tells you, hey, Kiran, I can solve all your problems, you're like, red flag.
Yes.
Not possible, man. No, you can't solve.
If one person can solve all my problems, then I would have been the best person to solve it already, right?
Right.
So having good mentors is very important. I mean, I've had great success learning different industries because of that. Because I went into real estate with zero knowledge and background, and I had terrific mentors. Then I went into mortgage, and I had terrific mentors. Then even our family fund center, it's not a franchise. Like, we have to learn everything from scratch, and that I also learned from mentors. So having mentors is like number 4, I would say. But in order of priority, if I have to reshuffle this, maybe YouTube is number 1 because it's free. You have free access for it.
Yeah.
And then second best is going into masterminds wherein you have peers who are at the same education level. The third thing is going to conferences.
Right.
Because at conferences, you can meet these peer groups.
Right.
And you can socialize with them. And the last one is obviously having a mentor. And that's the most expensive thing. You have to be able to pay them as a consultant to be a mentor. If somebody is being there just for free, then it's just, I don't think we'll get
They're
too
practicing
much.
on you.
They are practicing on you. I mean, we don't have too much time to live around for that.
what are some things that you think are really important when you're finding a mentor? Like, what are the key things? Because I have people that I know who, well, okay, these aren't mentors necessarily, but life coaches, right? And you have individuals who um, say that they're life coaches, and I know some that are very good. I know others who I'm like, man, your life is chaotic. How are you a life coach for anybody, right? It's very challenging. So what is the way that you filter out and say, okay, I'm looking for a mentor. How do you find one that's actually quality?
The way I do my due diligence is, first of all, I'll just scrub them through their social media channels to
Okay.
see. I ideally want to see somebody's video, because through video you are able to actually see how genuine they are.
Right.
And because being genuine is extremely important for me, and you cannot project yourself in different ways if you have a YouTube channel with so many things. And
That's true.
the,
Yeah.
even some of my customers tell me that, hey, I saw you on YouTube, and they tell me that they already know me. And that's the same thing that I experience, wherein I want to see them in action.
I think that's really important because like you just hit on something I didn't think about earlier is when you're finding a mentor, you want those mentor sessions to be really valuable. You don't want to feel like you're getting sold the whole time into something else that they're trying to do, right? Maybe
100%.
yeah. So
Yeah.
being genuine. Okay, cool. I like that. What's another thing?
And another thing is, we want to look at the history of what they accomplished, and
Huge.
they should have traveled the path. They might not have been as accomplished, but at least they should have gone through that path.
Right.
Let's say I'm trying to build wealth, and
Okay.
so I need somebody who has already built wealth, and
Oh, you don't want to talk to a broke mentor to help you
yes,
build wealth?
exactly. We don't want to talk to a financial planner who is broke already, right? So
Yeah.
if I want to have a financial planner, I want to have somebody who's already accomplished stuff, and who's so I mean, history, track record is important.
It's huge, right? And now the track record with the creative stuff, it's a little gray area, right? But it can still be applicable. You can say, okay, if you're looking for a mentor who's really great at a particular style to help you with the craft of it, this person could have made $0 and still be incredible as a mentor for that thing. If you're looking to for a business mentor as a creative, that's a completely different thing. You have to say, okay, let's put aside the quality of the work necessarily, but let's look at actual production numbers. What are you bringing in revenue wise? And they're going to have a ton of business experience to give you. And that's where we get that separation where you've got these two different paths that you can take, the craft versus the business side, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So be very specific in what it is you want as a creative and say, okay, am I looking to grow on the art side of my thing, or am I looking to grow in the business? And maybe you're looking to do both, and oftentimes you'll find the mentor is two different people for those things.
Where do we find mentors, right? I found great success in finding mentors from LinkedIn. So in
Oh, I've
LinkedIn,
never used
wherein
LinkedIn.
people are actually telling you what they are looking for.
I mean, I've used LinkedIn, but never to find a mentor. That's a good idea.
I wanted to be a keynote speaker about 3 years ago,
Okay.
right? So I went into LinkedIn, I searched for keynote speaking, and then there are a lot of people who are professional speakers, and I was able to easily find their videos where they are speaking. Then I have reached out to them directly saying, hey, I want to be a keynote speaker. Can you help me with this? And then I offered them money. Some of them were not even thinking that I'm going to be paying some money. So I offered them some money. I'll say, okay, I'll pay you this much. And if they are local, I try to meet them for lunch.
Yeah.
And most of the mentors that I found lately are remote. So it saves me time also. That way I can screen somebody quickly.
Right.
So I meet them, then I offer them, and I've had terrific success meeting good mentors from LinkedIn.
Dude, I like that. I used social media a lot, and I'll give you an example I thought was really interesting. I had a need in my creative side of photography that I needed to challenge myself with, and I found this photographer, and I was like, man, what he's doing with his photography is something that I am looking to do, right? And I reached out to him via social media, Instagram, and turns out he doesn't speak English.
Oh, wow.
All he spoke Russian. It was all he spoke, right? I don't speak Russian. He doesn't speak English, but we both spoke Photoshop. and I paid him, I think it was like $100 an hour, and we would meet, and I would get him onto a screen share, and he would go through the process, and then I'd go through the process, and that's all we did. We all we spoke was Photoshop, but it
That's
was enough for
incredible.
me to take me to the next level. And so that was a unique experience that I had, and it still to this day is one of the most unique ways that I've ever communicated with somebody. But it was very valuable, and I got what I needed.
See, that's why if people are trying to learn a new craft, the best way for them is to go through these steps. You first do the YouTube, then you go to conferences, then you try to find a mentor, and you have to be sincere and
Um,
clear with your goal. Because even if you find a mentor, if your goal is not clear, they'll not be able to help you properly.
well, and then when you're finding mentors, did you often have to ask like more than once? Was it just like one time and thing, or did you like follow up with them?
I had to follow up with people because a lot of people think it's a spammy call because we get hit with so many messages from
Yeah.
everywhere, right? They think it's a spammy call.
Or if they're at the level where you think they could be a good mentor, they're probably really busy.
Yeah, yeah,
All right,
that is
or
true.
maybe they've never thought of being a mentor before. And I know that there's been people that have reached out to me to ask, hey, could you help me with this and this? And I just kind of the next day it's inundated with new emails on top of it and gets buried, and I never return back to them. And if that individual never connects back with me again, like it's gone, right? You never get that opportunity to connect with them.
There is so many free resources. The reality is humans want to help other humans,
They do, they
right?
do, yeah.
Everybody wants to help somebody else, especially somebody who is struggling or who is new. People want to help. When I joined Toastmasters, because I was talking about public speaking and I wanted to improve my craft there, I joined Toastmasters Club. I mean, it's not free, but it's very inexpensive.
Right.
And you go there and all these mentors are so glad to help you and they pitch in and they help you for free. So whichever field that you're trying to get into, it's best if you find a club or peers or mentors. You can start with YouTube and you can just find your way because even in YouTube people are publishing so much content. You can probably reach one of them if you think they can help you
Yeah, because the truth is nobody becomes successful on their own.
on their own.
Every one of us, everybody has become successful because they learned something from somebody else.
Yes.
100%.
So let's talk about the new seminar that you're doing for real estate
Oh,
agents. It's not a seminar,
no,
it's
it's
a
a workshop.
workshop.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's been a couple years since I've done any workshops, and I have a love-hate relationship with workshops because I've always wanted to be the photographer who was doing it, right? I never wanted to be the one that wasn't, and I was teaching only, because I really love what I do. I love my clients and I love working. So you get so busy, you just don't have time to put on workshops. But I get asked enough times, and I'm like, okay, well, let me put some together. So I'm going to come out with a series of workshops that address different genres of photography that I'm doing. First one, real estate. Super simple, and it's for photographers who maybe are already professionals in other genres, but want to start shooting real estate and earning money. Those are the two things. You want to learn how to shoot real estate, and you're the kind of person where you're like, show me once, we'll go through a whole day and just show me how to do it, and then I've got it, right? And the second part is you also want to make money because if you're shooting real estate, you're not doing it really just for fun, to be honest with you. It's an income source. So those are kind of photographers I'm looking for this workshop. And then playing around with maybe doing an underwater one coming up, maybe more for like the model side, doing a portrait, a lighting one, and maybe a travel one coming up.
That's great. So talking about the real estate photography, a lot of real estate agents, they want to learn it also because they get a little listing from their
Oh
sister
yeah,
or
yeah,
mom, or they have a rental listing
yeah,
which doesn't pay much and they want to just take pictures and they don't want to hire a professional.
yeah.
So you think that
They're perfect for it too. Because here's the thing: when you start off in real estate photography, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be a challenge. And there's a lot of, even though it's like low dollar amount photo shoots, when you're brand new, I mean that's a perfect way to get started. I mean, right now I'm shooting really incredible properties. A lot of stuff is for competitions, for magazines, for architects, designers, builders, things like that. But I didn't jump there. I started with like literally like trailer homes and single family houses in small neighborhoods, and it was a great way to learn.
so for your real estate workshop, is it okay if we invite all the real estate agents if they want to
Yeah, it's a
learn
great way.
about
Yeah,
it.
pay for the workshop, save yourself the money of having and then you become your own photographer for your
Yes.
listings until you get busy enough to where you have to hire and pay somebody to do that, right? Absolutely.
Can they use their iPhones for the pictures, or they have to have a
I
Nikon?
would
What's
say,
the requirement?
I would suggest not an iPhone, right? I would suggest having your own DSLR or mirrorless
DSLR.
camera coming out.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you have a DSLR camera, if you are a real estate agent, also you can join
Yeah,
and learn
absolutely.
about this.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool.
All
Thanks,
right.
brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yes.
All right, brother.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Have a good one, guys.